This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum and Tonya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. It's your birthday month and my birthday month.
And it's 400 degrees in Texas.
Last night, the cute boy asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday. We were trying to figure out, do we want to go someplace, which I've been traveling, I want to stay home, or did we want to go to dinner? My first response was this fabulous restaurant we have here in Pensacola on the water called the Grand Marlin. And if you've ever visited our part of Florida, the Grand Marlin, just kind of one of those places that you go to celebrate everything. It's where the cute boy proposed to me. It's where we had our wedding brunch. We celebrate all of our birthdays and all of the things at the Grand Marlin. The problem is our waiter left. And when I say our waiter, we loved David. David was our waiter. Everybody at the Grand Marlin knows that there's like this one specific teacup table that we sit at by the window, and David was our waiter. And when we would arrive, our beverages would already be on the table. The appetizers we would want are already on the way. David was amazing. David attended our wedding. He's been at our house for Christmas Eve. He's the greatest waiter ever. And we just loved him. We loved his fiance. Strangely enough, he moved to Orlando when he graduated from getting his master's degree, and he's now in the insurance business. But going to the Grand Marlin is not the same anymore. Now, the food is still fantastic. The experience is wonderful. Nothing has changed except David is no longer there. And that reminds me sometimes of things that happen with us as business owners, that when we decide to start hiring people, when we decide to really start down a growth path, we have done such phenomenal things with our customers. We have treated them in such a way that no matter what anybody else does, it's just not the same.
First of all, I just want you to know, y'all are so bougie. Nobody knows the name of their waiter at their favorite restaurant in East Texas.
We know the name of all of our waiters and waitresses at our favorite restaurants.
In East Texas. Nobody knows that. And we do definitely not know that our waiter has a fiance and the fiance's name. We might, at certain restaurants, know that the waiter or waitress is no longer there. We would probably recognize that in a couple of places because we do have a favorite waiter, waitress in certain restaurants because we only go to 5 places because we just creatures of habit. That's just what we do. Just for the record, the cute boy and Tonya are bougie.
You vacation on 30A.
I pretend to be bougie. There's a difference between being bougie in everyday life and pretending to be bougie once a year for a week. I love that analogy. We have this thing in our businesses, to Tonya's point, and a lot of times it's us. In this particular case, it's a great restaurant, it's a waiter, it's someone that has done fantastic work, fantastic job. It really makes the experience incredible. A lot can be said about a business owner, an agency owner, especially starting out, where, of course, you do it the best. Of course, you are taking care of your clients to a level that is unmatched. You can hire 10 people and run 10 people through a process, training, everything, and there's a really close to 0% chance that they're going to do it as well or like you did it, which is one of the first hurdles to scaling is expectations. Like, how are you going to start moving forward? And we'll start with the solopreneur because that's probably the easiest to talk through is the solopreneur that has started out by themselves, growing by themselves, being their own service person, sales, service. They're doing it all. And then they reach a point where they're going to hire their first employee. What happens is we don't prepare for that moment that our David is going to leave or we are going to try to step into a different role or change how we're doing something. And we didn't prepare our processes. We didn't prepare our own mindset to even take that step.
I want to talk specifically on how to transfer the customer service load. How do you introduce your team to your people to create that level of trust?
Most agents are going to struggle with this area. Your community or your location, are you small town, are you suburban, are you metro, is also going to be impacted here. What I have experienced personally being in a small community, a rural community, is I like to call it the grocery store effect. Stop in and get some bread on your way home. And then 30 minutes later, 3 customer conversations later, getting, I call it sideswiped at times. That happens to you. Finding an answer for this, for us, it was communication. I like the introduction of your team. I like the communication, the broadcast communication, the announcement of your team or this new individual that's going to be handling some service work, whether that's the first one, whether that's the second or third one. I love that outward communication, number one. And I love the fact that you put them in between you. In other words, the calls go to them first. I don't want you to think that I'm encouraging you to have all of your phone calls screened or turn over your email inbox to someone else. I'm simply saying that having someone there so that when the customer comes in or the customer phones and you answer the call and it's Joe and I need to speak to Shane. Shane's not available. However, Christy is available. Let me get you right over there. And there are some customers that are going to push back. Number one, they liked access to the expert. They liked access to the person that solved their problem for them for the last few years. They grew comfortable with that. At the same time, they will and can grow comfortable with working with someone else if you hired well, if you trained well. What I see a lot of agents do is they wait too long. Even though I'm the guy that says go right up to the edge of the cliff before you hire somebody, there can be reasons that you wait too long and you've actually fallen over the cliff and you don't realize it. And then you don't have time to train and you get this throw people into the fire and it's the trial by fire effect. And then those people are overwhelmed and they don't know what they're doing and they don't know your clientele very well. And you end up with this upset client base because they can't get you because you're trying to get out of the middle of the service and stay on the sales focus. And the people that you've handed them off to, they aren't doing what the expectation that you've set has become. That is generally the problem that a lot of agents find themselves in, is they wait too long.
At what book size do I hire somebody?
It's different. I'm sorry, there's no perfect answer.
My answer to this is, how much does a car cost?
Yeah. When's the right time to buy a home? I'll give you a guide and I'll tell you that it could be different from one agent to the next. It depends on your tech savviness. It depends on how hands-on you are. It depends on how much you enjoy certain aspects of the business or not. And hiring the things that you don't love to do as soon as you possibly can afford to do it is a great scaling mindset. If you are terrible at chasing e-signatures and all the paperwork, post-sale type of things, kicking off the post-sale automation campaign that you've set up, working extra hours. If you're terrible at all of that, then maybe a virtual assistant is a first step for you. That'll get you toe in the water with having an employee without really having an employee. The other thing is, when you reach the point that you can afford to pay yourself a living wage salary that covers your conservative lifestyle, there's the 24-month dark period. That's a phrase that one of our agents coined. If you're starting from scratch because you're moving out of the exclusive system or you're a producer that had to leave their book or whatever, and you're going to start over, there's a 24-month dark period that you've got to be able to manage paying your bills. It'll be faster for some than others, but you can think about that. When you figured out that living wage, and I'm gonna stick with our $3 million in premium book. If $100,000 a year is where you need to be comfortable living to cover your lifestyle, whatever, your household income or whatever, and we're going to use that for easy math, then when you're generating $200,000 a year, do not pay yourself more in the form of a salary or in the form of monthly income. Continue to pay yourself $100,000. Take that extra $100,000. If there's something that comes up and you need to make a distribution of extra cash or something like that to you at the end of the year, fine. But save that budget money for your staff person. Because look, if you want to make more money, and instead of staying at the 100 and you want to go to 150 and then you want to go to 200, then you want to be a practitioner. Okay. So scaling isn't that important if that's what you want. But if you want to build an enterprise, if you want to build an agency where you have people and people are doing jobs for you and you're doing less and you're becoming a CEO, that's going to cost money and that's going to cost a percentage of your revenue. And you can't take 70% of your revenue as income personally and afford to build your enterprise. So your percentage of that revenue is going to need to decrease over time to set up a budget or a cash flow to afford this scaling process. That's where I see a lot of agents go wrong. So somewhere in that $1.5 million mark is my guide for when we need to start thinking about, are we ready to hire somebody?
So many agents love talking to customers. That's what they live for. That's why they do this. They adore getting to help people protect they value the most. To me, that's the instance where looking at hiring a virtual assistant, if you need one, contact IA Blueprint. They're absolutely fantastic. The best VA program for independent agents out there. But that allows you to continue to talk to customers, but there's somebody in the background doing the servicing side that you're probably not fantastic at if you're a great producer.
I asked the question, are you a rainmaker or are you more of a technician, risk manager type person? And most of the time, especially for our exclusive agent friends that are finding new beginnings in the independent agency system, you are a rainmaking salesperson. So most agents are hunters, and that's just how they're wired. That's why they're successful salespeople, all that. And the first thing that normally happens is we get phone calls or I get a call. It's, hey, I'm thinking about hiring another producer. I'm like, why do you want to hire a producer? To take the load off of me. What happens within an agency is producers think that more producers are the answer, more salespeople. And in a lot of cases, that's not actually the best answer. The best answer is the salespeople, the hunter, the superstar. I love using the term rainmaker. They need help. They need support. They need to be able to continue doing what they're doing. I've been through lots of iterations where we tried salespeople that service their own business. And then we've got salespeople, and then we have account managers, and then we have assistants to account managers or process type people. We've landed with separating the sales and service into two different personalities, people, etc. That having salespeople that also service their own business, it puts a ceiling on the salesperson, which I had to learn the hard way. And in hindsight, it's crazy. Why would you create an environment for a rainmaker that essentially makes them not be able to go make more rain? The thought process is, I have all this opportunity running at me and I can't get to it, so I need another salesperson. There may be some truth to that once you get some service infrastructure in place. Retention needs of keeping clients, servicing those clients. I like to ask that question because I like agents to have to think, okay, who am I really? If you are a hunter, which you probably are because that's why you're successful and that's why you got this problem, then you need support help, probably. Once you get that done and you get processes established for the servicing, you're going to see your capacity increase. You're going to see your sales opportunity go up, and you're going to realize, I don't really need another salesperson yet. I just need to increase my sales capacity with some support and service functions so that I can keep growing Maybe I need to add a second service person, even a third person, etc. And then at some point, you've got servicing capacity that you've driven the revenue and you've made your own income where it needs to be. You've afforded the servicing infrastructure. And now we can start talking about that second salesperson. The one thing that if you haven't done this, we've talked about it before. We have some partner agents at Integra that live by this statement is don't start out your business by giving out your cell phone. This is very difficult to get out of. I've actually seen people change their cell phone number because they made this mistake. And 2 years in, they couldn't get out from under it. And they ended up having to change their cell phone number and gave their cell phone to the most important people, family, friends, but they didn't give that cell phone number out. And then you're forcing people to call the office number. If you find yourself in that spot, I get it. It sucks, but sometimes that's the nuclear option. But if you can start out by not doing, that's the best answer, is not giving out your cell phone.
We're not saying that you can't use your cell phone to do business. We're suggesting that you have an office phone that forwards to your cell phone, and to make sure that when you call out on it, that you're using that office number and not your personal cell phone. That's
right. And I don't have a desk phone. I left my desk phone 2 years ago now. I have my cell phone. I'm an iPhone guy. You can do this on the other type of phones out there. I use my cell phone. I have my phone app for my office line on there. It's interchangeable. I have my kids, my text personal. I have my office thing going. Whether I'm in the office, whether I'm on the road, whatever I'm at, I can answer that phone. All the voice over IP systems pretty much have apps today. This is not a challenge. You can do this. If you still have a phone on your desk, think about getting rid of that phone, maybe, as my suggestion. Give the phone to your service people. Put it on their desk. Sometimes it's helpful for them to have that physical phone. It's a little easier for them if they're stationary. But if you're the rainmaker, get the phone off your desk. It gave me back like a 1 foot by 1 foot desk area. I love it.
Plus the cord. It's just a little less cluttered without that phone.
These are simple things that are available to agents. And if you're not there yet, I encourage you to research that. But it helps you pick up and go. It helps you stay in rainmaking mode. It helps you continue to scale your business.
Get it out of your head. If whatever is going on with your agency is only in your head, and it is not written down, it's not a process, it is not documented somewhere where if something happened to you, there has to be a way for somebody else to step in. You're never going to be able to go on vacation and relax if everything is in your head. And if you will start writing it down, and when I say writing it down, I mean putting it in a computer, putting it into a database, putting it into a knowledge base, something. Don't try to do it all at once. Just as it pops in your head, start to write it down. I know that is the biggest challenge that agents have when they're wanting to hire people or they're wanting to start to scale, is everything's in their head. And I get it because I am that person. And you've got to figure out a way to not have everything in your head. And that is one of the most stressful, most difficult things for a business owner to do. I've heard agency owners tell me over and over, I don't have time to train anybody. It's just easier for me to do it myself. You're right. You don't have time, and it is easier to do it yourself. But if you want to grow, you got to make the time.
You're choosing to be a practitioner, and that is fine. We have several partners who are practitioners, and what I mean by that is they do it all. I am 100% okay with agents wanting to create an insurance practice and operate this way. It's very profitable. I know a lot of practitioners making that $350,000 a year, teaching their customers, training their customers on certain ways to do things, writing the right type of business with the right type of carriers, being very efficient, and their service load is pretty small, even in crazy markets like we've had. And they make a lot of money, and they can vacation and work and feel good because they can do a couple hours a day. They can be with family, and they love this lifestyle. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this lifestyle. Matter of fact, they make more money than that agent that might be twice their size in terms of premium because there's more overhead for that next level up. But what I don't like and what I see agents really struggle with is they try to scale as a practitioner. That's where the ones that struggle with, I don't have any time to train anybody because they never had to write anything down. They never had to document their processes because it's in their head and it's just them. Most agencies that struggle with virtual assistants struggle because they have no documented procedures and they don't know how to help the VA company understand how they want to work. And then they have this person and they think, oh, I can hire this person for a couple of $1,000s a month all in, and that's going to solve my problem starting tomorrow. If you haven't got documented procedures, it's going to actually add problems to you tomorrow because you don't have a way of doing this. You don't have a way of helping them understand. And then you just assume the VA process is bad. Let me tell you, the VA market is strong. It's advantageous. We are big proponents of it. We have a virtual assistant. We started hiring virtual assistant about 4 months ago in our support area for our agents. It's been fantastic. We continue to look at that. I continue to encourage agents to do that. However, if you don't have documented procedures and workflows, you're going to struggle to train that person. You can't be a practitioner and grow an enterprise with a practitioner mindset. You have to be one or the other. You can't stick your toe in the water. You can't straddle the fence on this one. And I hope that's coming through clearly. And I hope that that's an understandable thing because that's where people go wrong. They want to grow. They want to hire. They want to create scalability within their business, but they don't want to let go. They don't want to manage people. They don't want to create workflows or document their processes. You can't scale without that. You can't scale with just keeping it all in your head, to Tonya's point.
Shane, I'm not ready to hire somebody full time, but there's too much for me to do. Tell me how to bridge that.
So I believe it's Amazon that really has this thing. Basically, it's this concept that Jeff Bezos had of outsourcing it until you can afford to do it yourself. Using that mindset, things like payroll, and sometimes the payroll is you can do it through a small business platform like Gusto, which will scale with you, but you still have to do it. You have to set it up. If you're starting a business, I always encourage when you're starting a business to have a CPA. I would not want to start a business without a CPA relationship. I would not want to go into my first tax year without a CPA. There may be some slightly more expensive things to doing things like that. Your CPA could run your payroll for you. You could do a lot of things there where you are outsourcing that and it is a little more expensive. But again, compared to what? Compared to hiring a CFO, is it still expensive? No. Compared to hiring a full-time bookkeeper that you're paying benefits to? Probably not. Maybe a part-time bookkeeper if you're so lucky to have a person like that. If you can do like me, you talk your spouse into being your bookkeeper and then 25 years later, not allow her to retire, then you can be extremely fortunate. But yes, it can be a little expensive, but again, compared to what? And you can outsource a lot of those things and make it work, and it's a bridge. This doesn't have to be the forever solution. You may hire a VA and then decide that when you hire a full-time employee to do your license servicing, a licensed employee, you may decide you don't need the VA any longer, and that's okay. But the VA gave you a bridge. Same thing with all the other things from bookkeeping and payroll. The thing that I love the most about using different services and outsourcing to do this while you scale is that it allows you to keep the main thing. You're the rainmaker, you're the insurance expert, you're the insurance risk manager, but you're also a business owner. And so our goal should always be to keep the main thing. And the main thing for you is insurance. I don't know an insurance agency owner who is running a successful insurance agency And the reason is because insurance agencies are sales organizations. And sometimes we allow the retention, and yes, retention is important, but sometimes we allow the servicing to overtake our business. But we are sales organizations. And so keeping the main thing here is really important with the scaling, and outsourcing can provide bridges to that process.
I'm going to leave us today with this quote from Sonja Heine, who is a Norwegian figure skater, three-time Olympic gold medalist. The world never puts a price on you higher than the one you put on yourself.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Bye, y'all.
Ready to get the ball rolling with your independent agency? Learn more at IntegraAgent.com. That's IntegraAgent.com. Thank you for joining us on IA Forward. Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now, or learn more at IAForward.com.